Thy word is a lamp unto my feet, and a light unto my path.
Good morning, and welcome to today's reading and reflecting within the Psalms. We're going to be in Psalm number 4 today. Psalm number 4 reads, "Answer me when I call, God who vindicates me. You freed me from my affliction. Be gracious to me and hear my prayer. How long, exalted ones, will my honor be insulted? How long will you love what is worthless and pursue a lie? Know that the Lord has set apart the faithful for himself, and the Lord will hear when I call to him. Be angry and do not sin. Reflect in your heart while on your bed, and be silent. Offer sacrifices in righteousness, and trust in the Lord." Many are asking, who can show us anything good? Let the light of your face shine upon us, Lord. You have put more joy in my heart than they have when their grain and new wine abounds. I will lie down and sleep in peace, for you alone, Lord, make me live in safety. While we don't know with certainty, maybe like we do with Psalm 3 concerning the setting of the Psalm, Psalm 3 gives us the superscription of this taking place during David's persecution at the hands of his son Absalom. It's possible that those who organized the Psalter saw some similar aspects of this psalm to that third psalm and believed it was written in about the same setting. Maybe it was written at a different time during David's difficult ordeal. And that would make sense concerning some of the things that we find within this psalm. First of all, we find a call from David for vindication, for someone to come to his defense, for someone to come to him and show the validity of who he is before God. God who vindicates me, you freed me from my affliction. What we see here within this psalm are some difficulties that David did face during his ordeal with Absalom. There's humiliation in that first line of verse number 2. How long, exalted ones, will my honor be insulted? There's lies that are mentioned at the end of verse number 2. There seems to be exhaustion in the heart of David in verse number 4, as he says, "Be angry and do not sin. Reflect in your heart while on your bed and be silent." Sometimes the best thing we can do is simply lay on our beds and be there in our exhaustion. Yet it's in those moments where we might be tempted to let our minds wander to places they ought not go, to begin to be distorted in the way we are seeing our present reality, and maybe to let the frustrations, the natural frustrations of difficult moments, to allow them to go to places they ought not go. David says, that's not what I'm going to do while I am exhausted on my bed, even though I might be angry, justifiably so, about the situation. I'm not going to allow that to move me to a place of ungodly behavior. There's exhaustion here. Humiliation, lies, exhaustion. But we also see just basic gloom and despair in verse number 6. Many are asking, who can show us anything good? Who can show us any bright spot in this current circumstance? Many of the Psalms that we have attributed to David are Psalms that give us great insight into his heart during difficult moments in his life. We're noticing here possibly another psalm during the episode with Absalom, but we can see later on psalms that were written during David's difficult ordeal with Saul. There's some that are written during the horrible episode involving Bathsheba. But these they give us great insight into his heart, what he is truly thinking at that time. It gives us insight into the heart of someone who, as we can see in other texts, is a man seeking God's own heart. What does the godly person do when they find themselves in distress? What do they do whenever they find themselves in situations where despair, gloom, humiliation, where evil workers seem to have the upper hand? What I find here within this psalm is David reaching out to God, relying upon him, relying upon that which he provides in order to sustain him during this difficult moment within his life. Notice that first verse again. Answer me when I call, God who vindicates me. You freed me from my affliction. Be gracious to me and hear my prayer. Now, why is it that David goes to God? What about God makes him the avenue through which we seek to find escape in difficult times? Well, to me, the answer to that is verse number 3. Know that the Lord has set apart the faithful for himself, and the Lord will hear when I call him. There seems to be, when we take this verse, verse number 3, and pair it with verse number 8, we come to a very important conclusion. Again, verse number 3, the Lord has set apart the faithful for himself. And then verse number 8, I will lie down and sleep in peace. For you alone, Lord, make me live in safety. Whenever we take these two verses and we put them together, I believe we come to the very important conclusion and the point that I want to make in our knowing God emphasis from this psalm, that God alone has the ability to provide true inward peace. He sets apart the faithful for peace. Even in moments where again, humiliation is present, lies are present, exhaustion is present, doom and gloom is present, even in those moments, and certainly we've all experienced those moments. Maybe right now we find ourselves in a moment such as that, but it's in those moments where we must remember that there is a place we can go to find peace in the chaos. And it's not within ourselves. It's not within something of this created world. That place is at the merciful throne of God. Now we go to him and we throw ourselves before his feet and we beg for his mercy again. He sets apart the faithful for himself. When the faithful endure distressing situations, he protects them. We're going to see in our psalm in a couple of days that he provides a shield for them, which is not the only time we've seen that. Go back just a couple of verses to the end of Psalm 3, and again, we see that salvation belongs to the Lord. May your blessing be on your people. And actually, that's later, verse number 3, chapter 3 and verse 3. But you, Lord, are a shield around me, my glory and the one who lifts up my head. This string of psalms, 3, 4, 5, and possibly 6, we'll see what Chris shares with us on Friday. But these psalms specifically, they speak to people who are in times of distress, and the common thread in all of them is the Lord is a rock. He is a shield. He is the one who lifts us up when times are tough and when the days seem dark. I want to leave us this morning with the text from Philippians chapter 4 and verses 6 through 9. Again, in this text specifically in chapter 4, we read of peace belonging to us when we lay down and sleep, in knowing that God provides safety to us. A text that goes right along with this, that should give us confidence in our own times of distress, is Philippians 4, beginning in verse number 6. Don't worry about anything, but in everything through prayer and petition with thanksgiving present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there is any moral excellence, if there is anything praiseworthy, dwell on these things. And what you have learned and received and heard from me and seen in me, and the God of peace will be with you. This text begins with peace and ends with peace. And we too can have peace from the beginning to the end of any situation if we dwell upon those things which bring peace. While we often might take these varying, various characteristics, purity, love, some to be lovely, some to be commendable, and we want to apply them to various things in our lives, can we recognize that all these things belong to God? All these are descriptions of God. If everything else fails in life, God will not. I hope that if today is a day of distress for you, that this reading and reflecting upon the content of this psalm will help you to realize where you need to go. Don't go into your own self. Don't go to something else in this world. Go alone to God, and He will bring you peace and serve as your rock in time of distress. May God bless you as you go throughout this day. Thanks for joining us this morning.